everyone, my name is Myiesha and thank you so much for visiting my channel. Today I want to talk about the best books I read in 2021 so far. These are going to be in no particular order. First, I want to talk about the picture books I read. So first is Looking for a Jumbie by Tracy Baptiste, illustrated by Amber Wren. So Naya goes on the search for Jumbies, which are creatures from Caribbean mythology or Caribbean folklore. And what she ends up finding is nothing what she expects. The artwork of this picture book is so gorgeous, and I really love that she's found the Jumbies, but she doesn't, so it really makes for an adorable, super cute read. It's also awesome that this introduces you to different creatures from Caribbean mythology. I wouldn't say I know a lot about them, and I don't know if I've seen them a lot in media, so it's a wonderful introduction into a folklore that many might not be familiar with. The next is Boo Stew by Donna Washington, illustrated by Jeffrey Ebler. Curly Locks loves to cook, but she cooks sort of what we would describe as weird concoctions. And she ends up finding the perfect audience for her cuisine when the scares start to terrorize all of the adults in her community. I love how scary the scares look. I think they were illustrated with ink as opposed to the digital or I think traditional media that the rest of the artwork was done in. So the scares ended up standing out really well and so creepy. So wonderfully creepy. I also love that Curly has the support of her mother from the very beginning, and her mother is always in her corner, and rightfully so, because Curly's really weird, strange cuisine ends up saving the day. Hardly Haunted, written and illustrated by Jessie Sima. This is a spooky story written from the perspective of the haunted house. Isn't that so adorable? So at first, she is just like, it's not my fault. I'm spooky and I'm creaky and I'm scary. And she even tries to not be so spooky and scary, and she tries to change herself so people will like her. You see where this is going? And eventually she's like, if I'm gonna get a family, then they're gonna have to love me for who I am. They're gonna love my creaks and my squeaks and all that stuff. And I find that so cute. I love what that says about you need to be yourself and you will find your people. And that's what ends up happening because she ends up finding a family. The next one is When Langston Dances by Kaija Langley, illustrated by Keith Mallett. So basketball player Langston is on his way to his first ballet class, and he's enamored by the Alvin Ailey dance company, and he just wants to dance. But of course, on the way to class, he meets someone that says, boys don't dance like that. Poop to that. And his mother reassures him, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love that it gives another view of how black boys dance, because it's ballet, it's seen as very feminine and light. It's like, no, there's no limit to what boys like Langston and other black boys can dance like. This is probably one of the only picture books to make me cry, because there's a time skip at the very beginning, and it goes from his first class to his first performance, and his mother, who supported him the whole time, is in the front row. I don't think I've teared up at a book. Oh, I probably have teared up at a book this year, but a picture book, that one just got me in the feels. Now, this is, I think, the only graphic novel I read this year. It's Girl Haven by Lila Sturgis, illustrated by Megan Carter. So young Ash has heard about the girls-only magical world of Courtress all his life. His mother told him stories for as long as he could probably remember. But it's not until Ash and his friends are transported to Courtress that Ash has to come to terms with the fact that he might actually be a transgender girl. This graphic novel does a really great job of kind of dismantling what's female, what's male, and what does the hero look like, and all this other stuff. And I thought it was cool that Ash had always had inklings that I might actually be a girl. And I just love that it really was more about her coming to terms with it and embracing who she really is. I thought that was just so beautiful. And in doing that, she's able to defeat the villain in ways that may not seem traditional, may not seem to be how the villain is usually defeated, but I think that's the whole point of the story. It's adorable. Next up, we have Root Magic by Eden Royce. Jez and her twin brother are starting to learn root magic in order to protect her Black community and her family. In 1960s South Carolina, so super racist. What's really awesome about Jez is that she takes the lessons she learns from root magic and make it her own, in that she makes decisions of what she will and will not do, and who she will and will not hurt. And because of this, she ends up gaining some super powerful allies along the way, and it ultimately helps her save the day without giving away too much of the story. I would definitely say that this book is the epitome of Black girl magic. It is just, she just becomes so powerful, and she comes into her own and like unapologetically Black. Oh, it's just so good. Next, we have Kiki, Kalira Breaks the Kingdom by Sangu Mandana. Kiki sketches this mystical world of Mysore, and she adds demons, and it's just such an intricately, beautifully sketched out world, which is all great and good until she gets transported to that world and realizes that all the decisions that she made for them, she now has to contend with. It's the idea of, you've written a story, and every wrench you've thrown at your main character, and then you have to have a conversation with that main character and seeing how the impact of your decisions as the writer had on their lives. And that's a lot of what she has to deal with, because for one, there's no parents or no adults, so all of these young children who are the main characters of the story have to deal with these demons and all these evil people by themselves, and obviously that would take a toll. It's like, as a writer, you never really think about the effect, the impact of your story plans, and then now she really has to have these conversations with these young children of, I'm sorry, there's no one to look out for you except for each other, and your kids. It's hard for you all to do that on your own. What I also liked about this story is that another one of those, the training montages don't go as well, but then as soon as she really needs to rise to the occasion, she's able to take everything that she learned and sort of interpret it in her own way to defeat the big baddie. Next, we have Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. Amari's brother has disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and the only clue she has is a briefcase that she finds in his closet. This leads her to the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, quite similar to the Men in Black, which the comparison has been made as people are describing this book. And she works to do whatever she can in order to join them and figure out what happens to her brother. This is everything. This book is everything. It has a Black girl at the center of the story where I haven't seen before. It always feels like we don't get to have those type of stories. So I love that I'm able to see myself in this book, all the adventures that she has, the twists and the turns, and I thought it was all so interesting the parallels of her being a magician in the supernatural world and her being a black girl in America are very similar. If you want to talk about black girl magic, this is another prime example. Last but certainly not least is Black Boy Joy, a short story collection edited by Kwame Mbalia. I love a story where I can understand the references, and I feel that my culture as a black woman is represented in the book. That's what this collection is. There's stories and slang and music and just, it's so black. And I don't realize how rarely I see myself in stories until I read a book that is just, oh yeah, my mom's like that. Or I've went to a gathering like that, and it's just so important to have that representation, and I'm glad that this book provides it. What I especially appreciate is that this collection has a little bit of everything. There's sci-fi, there's superheroes and poetry and just fantasy. It's everything. It's such everything. I love it. Some of my favorites, and I'm not gonna summarize them this time because there's a little too many of them. The McCoy Game, also by B.B. Alston. The Legendary Lawrence Cobbler by Julian Winters. 5,000 Light Years to Home by Suyi Davies Okunboa. The Gender Reveal by George M. Johnson. And Percival and the Jab by P. Jelly Clark. I have really enjoyed reading and seeing so many great stories this year. I can't imagine what great stories I will read in this last 3 or 4 months of the year. So tell me, what are some of the best books you read this year so far? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!